Hi guys, this is Connie, back for more Connie Reads the Dogs of Winter. This is chapter 22, titled Dog Boy. Snow fell every day now. Sometimes it fell thin and stingy as the woman at the fancy bakery. Other times it fell in generous white curtains. On those days I stayed in the glass house with the dogs, all but Smoke, and we slept the day away. But still, there were days of brief sun. I followed Lucky past the shed and over the crumbling brick wall, and up and down alleys to the great plaza and the shops and the wooden stalls huddled together by the train station. Now that grandmother and little mother were stronger, Rip tagged along too, and always, just out of sight was Smoke. A whiff here, a smudge of silver and black there. We wandered farther from the great plaza with its gold-roofed buildings and marching soldiers with their white gloves and tall black boots. The restaurant doormen with their white gloves had chased me away from the long black cars and the beautiful ladies. I found a bookshop with an old woman and a cat. The old woman gave me kopecks and the dog's milk. The cat had eyes like Rudy, gray and cold. My eyes longed to find the words they knew in the books. My hands itched to feel the weight of the book and the smooth cover, but the woman would not allow me to touch the books. Instead, she helped me sound out words from old newspapers. Food, men, dogs, guns, cold. I found a shop where a man with a huge mustache painted the faces of saints on wood. "Can you make a firebird?" I asked him. "Can you make the face of the Snow Queen or the little match girl?" I asked as I ran my hand over the rough face of Saint Bernadette. The man blew out a long sigh. His mustache fluttered above his lip. "No, boy, people will not pay for such things. They want the saints, always the saints." He hammered two pieces of wood together. "They think they will bring them good health and fortune." He hammered harder. "Where were the saints when I lost my son in the war?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe they were sleeping." He sighed again and handed me a coin. "Maybe you're right. Even God and the saints must sleep, I suppose." "But who," he asked, stroking Rip's head, "looks after us when God and the saints sleep?" "Dogs," I said. I also found a school near the bookshop and the shop with the wooden saints. In the late morning, when the sun shone just so, Rip and Lucky, and sometimes Smoke, followed me to the schoolyard. "Watch," I'd say. The bell rang, and the children burst from the mud-colored building and swarmed like bees over the playground. Through the wire fence, we watched the boys throw snowballs. "I don't like that tall boy in the blue scarf," I said to the dogs. He put a rock in the middle of his snowball. The boy in the blue scarf hurled his snowball at a small boy off by himself holding a book. The snowball smacked the little boy in the side of the head. He cried in pain, dropping his book in the snow. "See, I told you he was mean," I said. Lucky and Rip barked in agreement. "He's a bad, bad boy." The small boy ran toward the school building, holding the side of his head. "Hey, hey," I called through the chain link fence. "You forgot your book." "Who are you?" I turned. A girl studied me through the fence. Before I could answer, she pointed and asked, "Are these your dogs?" "Yes," I said. Lucky pushed his big black nose through the wire and wagged his tail. The girl reached through with her small hands and scratched his underchin. Rip stood up on his back legs and yipped and twirled. "That one too?" she asked, pointing to the patch of sun on the sidewalk where Smoke slept. I hesitated. Smoke did not belong to anyone. I nodded. "Sort of." "You're lucky," she said. "My mother and father won't let me have a dog. They say they make too much care, and I am too lazy to look after one. "The dogs look after me," I said. "We look after one another." She looked at my soggy, bag-covered feet. "Why don't you have shoes?" I shrugged. I had shoes once. Famous basketball player shoes. I could run faster than anybody in those shoes. "Where are they?" "One was lost. One was stolen," I said. The snow swirled around us. Birds fluffed their feathers against the cold. Snow fell on the white fur hat of the girl. She stared at my feet. The bell rang. The girl turned to go. "Goodbye," she said. "I hope your mother gets you some new shoes." "My mother is gone too," I said, "like my shoes." "I'm sorry about your mother and your shoes," the girl said. "Anya, come in now," a big woman called in an angry voice. "I have to go," the girl said, and she dashed across the schoolyard. Anya. Wasn't that my mother's name? "Wait!" I called. The girl stopped. I rubbed my eyes. She was not my mother. She was a schoolgirl named Anya with a white fur hat. "The book," I said. "The boy dropped his book." She picked the book up out of the snow and wiped it off. She waved and ran to the woman waiting on the edge of the playground. Winter closed down like an iron fist. The city was encased in a cold so sharp, so bitter, it hurt to breathe. Worse, my shoes, made of socks and bags, froze. They stood up all by themselves in the morning, like little brown trolls. Finally, on the 5th day, the cold broke. The dogs and I awoke that morning to the sound of birds and the steady drip-drip of ice melting off the roof of the glass house. The dogs shook the cold from their coats and stretched. The puppies unwound themselves from the warmth of grandmother's fur. They stumbled over to little mother's belly and rooted about for milk. There was no milk to be had. All of us were starving. We'd only had what food Lucky and Smoke brought to the glass house. I wrapped my feet in the wet boots of old sock and burlap. I scrubbed my face with snow. "I'll get us food," I said to little mother and grandmother, and set off with Lucky and Rip and Smoke. Later in the morning, after visiting the bookshop woman and the man with the giant mustache, I stopped to watch the children playing at the school. I had barely arrived when the girl with the white fur hat stomped over to the fence. "Where have you been?" I asked, her fist planted on her hips. "I've waited for you every day," she said with a scowl. I rubbed my raw feet. "It's been too cold," I said. "We were trying to stay warm in our house." She squinted her blue eyes. "Where do you live? I thought you said you have no mother." I pointed back toward the onion-shaped gold domes. "We live in the glass house over that way." She shook her head, her brown curls bouncing underneath her hat. "You talk like a crazy person. No one lives in a glass house." "We do," I said. "The dogs and I." "What is your name, anyway?" she demanded. What was I to say? I had always been my mother's Mishka, but there was no Mishka because there was no mother. She waved away the words rising from my throat. "It doesn't matter. I'll call you Sobakonak, Dog Boy. To me, you are Dog Boy." I nodded. "Dog Boy," I repeated. The teacher in the big coat on the other side of the playground blew a whistle. "Oh, I almost forgot." Anya pulled a bag from beneath her coat. She squinted up into the sunlight and swung her arm, her hand clutching the bag around and round in a big circle. 1, 2, 3! And the bag sailed high and higher over the fence. Rip barked and danced on his back legs. Lucky crouched in fear. And Smoke, my beautiful Smoke, tipped his head back and caught it with ease. He dropped the bag at my feet and lay it down in the sun. "Open it," Anya said. "It's for you." I opened the bag and pulled out boots. Glorious gray boots with rubber on the outside and cloth on the inside. I clutched the boots to my chest. "How could these be for me?" I asked. "Did you steal them?" Anya laughed, a small, tinkling laugh. "No, silly. They belonged to my little brother. He's outgrown them. Mummy threw them in the dustbin, but I thought they'd be better off with you." I turned my face away and pretended to carefully inspect the boots. She planted her fists on her hips again. "Are you crying?" she demanded. "Because if you are, you have to give them back." I shook my head and scrubbed my face. "It's just the cold," I sniffed. The bell rang. The children scattered like birds. "I have to go, Subakonak," she said. "I got in trouble with the teacher last time." And with that, she ran across the schoolyard. When she was almost to the big woman in the gray coat, she turned and called, "See you later, Dog Boy." I pressed my hands to the wire fence. "See you later, Anya," I whispered. And that's the end of chapter 22. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you, and I will see you for the next chapter. Bye.